Good morning and welcome to another Fast Tracks webinar. We do these webinars every week and we do them on Fridays at 9 a.m. Central. In case you would like to view any of the ones that we've done in the past, you can go to FTx.com, click on Lifeline, jump to support options, and they're going to be down here in the webinar section. We have quite a few to choose from. You can download them, you can stream them, but there's a lot of resources here available for you. My name is Brianna, and today we're going to be going over receiving invoices. So first, we're going to start with a little bit of a basic. We're going to go into Director, and we're going to look up an item. And I'm just going to do this guy and go to the parent unit. So one thing that you need to do whenever you're doing invoicing is you're going to create vendor part numbers. By default, it's going to assume that your vendor part number is your UPC number, so that's this number here. But there are some instances when you would need a different number. So for example, if you're ordering from a manufacturer, they may have a different set of numbers that they use for a pack or a package of products. So you would want to put this in here so that you can order based on what they use. So I'm going to go with this number here. So on this vendor part number, this is for a carton of Winston cigarettes. We're going to say that that's only one. And we're going to go with the cost of $74.80. That's what I've got in there for the last cost. So we'll save that. If you had a specific vendor, you would choose that here. For these purposes, we only have one vendor selected, but we have companies that have, dozens. So you want to make sure that you have the correct vendor changed. But you can have the same vendor part number for multiple vendors. So it's important to make sure that you're choosing the correct vendor on this section. So I'm going to save that, save my item. The next thing I'm going to show you, if you would like more information on doing the vendor parts and setting up vendors and getting more depth on that, we have a lot of resources already available on goftx.com. We have training documents and we also have a video available, and I'm pretty sure we'll be doing a webinar on that soon if we haven't done it already. So we're going to go to inventory now. And on inventory, we're going to click on receiving. And there's a few different ways you can do invoices. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to create an invoice from scratch. So we're going to make sure that I've got the correct store selected. We've got the correct vendor selected. I'm not going to do it from a purchase order. We're just going to do a plain invoice. So we'll call this one 54678. We're going to receive it today. The surcharge, this is usually where you would put a delivery fee if you have to pay that to your vendor. So we'll say that we're having to do we'll just say $1.99. And the notes section, you can put whatever you need to have here. Since we're doing a plain invoice without any other tracking on it, we can say that this was delivered from another store or whatever you want to put. So we're going to do create invoice. Again, you can put notes here, so you can say received by the person's name or whatever you would like to put. Again, the surcharge shows here. So we're going to receive in that vendor part number that we just created. So we're going to do 1877. There's our Winstons, and we're going to say we're getting 3 of these. And if you noticed when we clicked on that, it shows you what your current quantity on hand is, and then it's going to, if you were doing it against a purchase order, the expected quantity would show here. If there was something on the order, if, for example, you were supposed to get 5 of them, but you're only getting 3, it would let you know that. You can change the part cost here. So let's say that this time, instead of it being $74.80, it's actually going to be $73.50. And it changes your total cost here. So we're going to add and update that, and cost change right here. So again, expected quantity is 0, we're receiving 3, and we're going to update the cost. If you do not want to update your cost, you can uncheck this box. I have hour settings so that it will automatically update cost changes. All right, so now we're going to go down here and we're going to say that's all that we're getting. So we're going to print the invoice first, so you have the paperwork that you need, and then we're going to apply. Yes, I would like to apply this to inventory, and there you go. So now when you come here and refresh, there's the order we just did. So we're also going to receive against a PO. So the way to do that, I'm actually gonna come over here to where our orders are. And I created this order this morning. So we're going to come down here and do convert to invoice. Yes, I would like to convert it to an invoice. And we're gonna call this one 70987. And it's converting it. I have a lot of items on this order too, so this is going to take a second. In the meantime, while this is loading, we can go to goftx.com, and we have quite a few videos already available for receiving and ordering. So if you go to Lifeline, and we're going to go to support options, you can go to documentation or videos. So if we look at the videos, we've got different categories here available. So director, we've got, there's a vendor part video already available for you. So again, if you have more questions on how to set up vendor parts, we've already got some information there for you. We've also got several different things on there for receiving and doing things like that. Okay, so here's our order. As you can see, there are quite a few items on it. So my inventory doesn't have anything because I have a test database, but we're going to go in and we're going to add some information to this. So normally against a PO, so you can see right here where we were supposed to get 0, but we're going to say that we're getting 3 of these. And then we're going to make the cost be $1, add an update. And then we can go down here and we'll go that guy, same thing, say 2. So you just go through here. Normally you would have, of course, normally quantity on hand that you would be going against. So this time I generated an order that was just for all of the items under my vendor, but there are several different ways to receive the invoices or to generate orders. So right now we've got 14 items on our order and it's only going to be $13. We're going to go up here and add a surcharge because, again, that's something that you may need to put in on your invoices to account for cost. And we can apply the invoice. So the vendor part number, that's the number that we went over before, and this can be different for one vendor versus another. A lot of times it can be the same number as your UPC number. The description is the description that you put in on the item itself, or it would be under the vendor part number as well if you had that one that was separate. And again, I have mine set to update cost if it's changed. So while this is applying, we're going to go over to our handheld. So today I'm going to show you the Windows handheld. We also have an Android version, and we do already have a video and a webinar in place for that. If you would like to go and view that, you can go to goftx.com and go and view the documentation there as I've shown you. So we're going to go into receiving. And I'm going to log in. So we have a few different options here. You could do verifying an invoice, and that's whenever you receive an EDI and you want to go back and just verify that everything that was on the order that was EDI is there. You can also resume an unfinished invoice, or you can begin a new invoice or resume an unfinished verification. So I'm just going to start a new invoice. And again, you're going to change your vendor here. You can receive against a PO if you would like. And then if you did that, then you would select from this drop down. I don't have any available right now because we just received the one that I had on the computer. So then we're going to enter in an invoice number. So we'll go 36974 and continue. And you can normally scan. I don't have the barcode with me, so I'm just going to let's do the Winston packs. Sometimes you would need to receive in a child unit of an item rather than a parent unit, and that's just sometimes they break apart items and send those. So you could, if you needed to, you could receive packs or the child unit. So this is something new that we've added, and this is so that you can select the correct vendor part. So sometimes a vendor part, you can have more than one vendor part for one vendor. The other instance that I went over was having the same number for multiple vendors. So in this case, I don't have a vendor part for this item, so I'm just going to close that screen, and then it brings us up to our actual receiving. So it says I've got 7 on hand. I'm expected to get none on an invoice because I'm not receiving against a PO, but we're going to say that I'm receiving 6 of them. And the cost is, let's say that it's the same. So we'll save that. And then you'll see that the last item that I entered was my Winston's. I received 6, and the total was $44.10. And then let's say that's the end of our order. So we just exit. And then we can come back to Director. Oh, our invoice was applied. We'll close that. Okay. So if we go over to Receiving, and I'm going to refresh this. I think this is the invoice we just did. I'm going to show you the PO invoice that we applied. So this is the big invoice that we applied. You can see here everything that's in yellow, that's something that we didn't receive. Normally, whenever you would generate an order, you would remove anything off of there that had zeros on it. But for the purposes of this webinar, I wanted you to see a lot of items on the order. But it's just like the other worksheet we were looking at. It showed you that we changed the cost here and we applied the cost change. We received 3. We were not expecting any, and all the other information that we've gone over. So I'm going to close that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over EDI. So an EDI invoice is it's an electronic invoice. It is a lot more efficient if you're able to set this up with your vendor for many reasons, but the main one is that you can send them the order through EDI, and then whenever they send it back, it comes in through here, and you can see differences on the invoice. So the easiest thing to do is you come in here, you would have multiple vendors more than likely. You would select the correct one, you'd click correct store, and then you choose the correct vendor. So we have one invoice to process. So we're going to go ahead and process this invoice. So it is for store 1, and we're doing it today. You have the option to auto apply if you would like. For these purposes, I'm not going to do that. And let's go through here and see. So on this version of the invoice, you can see that this item had a cost change. So anything that is highlighted in yellow is something that the price either went up or down compared to what you were showing already in the system. So that's another good benefit of doing receiving through EDI, because you could quickly see anything that has a change in the cost or price. So we're going to go through here, and there's several different ones. So this is going to be where you would apply the invoice. You can go ahead, if you're doing this at store level rather than at corporate, you can go ahead and verify that all the counts are correct and actually check in your shipment and apply it here, or you can go ahead and apply it and then go back and do the verify invoice, which is on the Android handheld or on the Windows handheld. So we're going to go through here and just say that this is correct. So we're going to apply the invoice. And again, just like the others, it was the expected, the received, any of the cost, and then we've got update cost set. The invoice has been applied, and we can close that. So now if we go over here to invoices, we can refresh, and our new invoice is there. Okay, the last thing I'm going to show you is receiving in the POS. So the POS receiving is lighter than Director or the handheld, in that you cannot receive against a purchase order. So we would just need to create a new invoice. We can do 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, you're going to choose your vendor and you choose the date. You'll notice that in this setting, you don't have the option to pick a store because you're in POS mode. It assumes that it's getting the store from the POS settings. So we're going to create the invoice. We'll go ahead and add our surcharge in here, say $10. And you have to add the item one by one. So Winston, we can say we're going to do these Winston cartons, and we're going to receive 3 of them. And now we can add another item. So we can say camel. And we'll go with those. And we're going to get 2 of those. And we'll do one more. Let's say Newport. Oops. One word. And we're going to go with that one. We're going to save one of those, and we're going to change this to $72.97. Save it. So you'll see that on the POS receiving, it doesn't flag it or show you that there has been a cost change, but you will see that when you go back and look at the Invoicing director. So again, the POS is a little bit limited. It's supposed to be stripped down. It's supposed to be like the easiest to use for cashiers or anyone that you don't want necessarily seeing all of the information on an invoice. So you can either print it or apply it. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it. Yes. Okay, we can close that. And then if we refresh our page on receiving, you'll see that our order is there. We can go ahead and there's the invoice. And again, you can print the invoice and see everything that you need to see here. Okay, that's all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Again, if you would like to view any more of the materials that we have, you can go to our website, which is goftx.com. If you've got any further questions, you can also email to support. So that's support@fasttrackspos.com, or you can call in. I hope you have a great day. Happy Thanksgiving.